You're listening to Soundside. I'm Libby Denkman. A few times a week, I sit down with another journalist to talk about the biggest news developing right now and how it affects the Pacific Northwest. We call it Front Page. It's a quick way to catch up on the biggest headlines. Melissa Santos of Axios is back for another Front Page. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing all right today. Thanks, Libby.
I really love having you in studio, as always. We're going to turn now to our top story.
We're just hoping everybody's okay. I mean, we put a sprinkler out, and at a certain point, it's a house. We love our house, but we decided to get out of there just in case.
That's Daryl Addy and his wife Velma Addy, who spoke with KHQ News in Spokane. They're among almost 12,000 people currently under an evacuation order northeast of Spokane. That is where a fast-moving wildfire has burned homes in the Spokane Valley area in a neighborhood called Beacon Hill. The Upriver fire was first reported around 12:30 p.m. yesterday, midday. DNR says that the fire did not grow significantly overnight. It's listed at about 222 acres currently. The Spokesman Review had people on the ground who reported seeing at least 5 homes burned. Melissa, obviously a really precarious moment for a lot of people in that Spokane Valley area as they wait to see the direction of the winds and whether their homes will be okay. Already some people who have lost structures.
It's just such a hard thing when you hear that from people, I mean, that decision, whether to go, whether to stay, I just can't be easy for any of them. I just can't imagine.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of wildfire coverage, actually in Southern California, where I spent some time in my career, and being with people while they are, holding hoses and wetting down their properties, trying to make the decision, is this now to go? And let me be clear, if authorities say you go, you should go. The people who stay, it's a really dangerous thing to do, but it does happen. The other thing that I think about every time there's an evacuation order is the return process. Once you have people getting back into their neighborhoods, if they haven't had anybody with eyes on the ground, they don't have any, camera set up or anything, just the coming around the bend and seeing whether or not your home has survived in a situation like this. I've been with people when they were discovering, that their property was luckily okay for the first time. And that emotion, that overwhelming relief is just huge. But that's, a lot of people are dealing with that right now in the Spokane area. Amanda Zoe at the Seattle Times reported today on the fact that most of Washington state is going to have an elevated fire risk through the summer this year. And that's a combination of drought. We had a pretty warm winter, low snowpack, and then El Nino, which typically matters for winters, but it's such a strong system this year that apparently it could contribute to a worse wildfire season this year. And, that's hard to hear because we've had some bad ones lately.
And I think that we used to think of this as an Eastern Washington problem, but it has not been the last few years. I mean, in 2022, I don't know if you remember that year, we were all blanketed here with smoke from that Bolt Creek fire that was in King County, on the edge of King County here, and edge of Snohomish County. And
that was like Index, the Cascade kind of foothills. Yeah.
Right. And, that year I remember writing about it, and we had seen the most destructive wildfire seasons in history in that 7-year period leading up to that fire, 3 of them.
Wow.
And it's just happening more often now. And we're seeing them on the west side of the state, not just the smoke, but people actually potentially having their homes in danger as well more often than we used to. And I think, most wildfires are human caused. This isn't to put blame, but people need to be super careful since it's something like 80% of them are not caused by utilities or lightning. It's people.
Yeah. Amanda went out with some crews with Puget Sound Energy that were trying to clear some tree branches away from power lines. And, people can obviously do the kind of measures, thinning fuel on their property. But even, during a bad fire season, even when we get a little relief where there's a little bit of rain that comes through, a lot of times, my mind directly goes to, okay, now that's more fuel, especially in more fire-prone areas, Winthrop area, the central and eastern part of the state. But that might be PTSD from doing so much fire reporting in Southern California, where it just is so tinder dry and so dangerous when the winds kick up. We're going to be following that fire out of Spokane and seeing how, again, fire crews are working on getting containment there. 220 acres, the Upriver fire. Moving on to the second story in Front Page. And this has to do with something that happened on Mount Si, Melissa. This is a big hiking trail, one of the most popular in the state around North Bend. And that's where a teenage boy was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries yesterday afternoon after a black bear charged his group and swiped him. State Fish and Wildlife officers, along with King County Search and Rescue, responded to the scene, and King County Search and Rescue transported the victim to the hospital. The Seattle Times reported that this was a group of hikers from Auburn's Thomas Jefferson High School, and several of them were on their very first hike ever. What a thing to happen on your first hike.
I don't know they're going out again anytime soon.
I would have a hard time if that was my first hike. I hopped on the phone with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife this morning. They said that this was a mother bear and her cubs, who also reportedly followed another group of hikers for several miles. I mean, first off, your reaction, and, this is a rare thing, but...
Yeah. I mean, I have a large supply of bear spray. My husband supplies me with this. He's very afraid of bears. As I guess passed that on to me. I've never seen a bear outside of a zoo. So it is really rare, and I know that people shouldn't be worried about it, but it's just such a scary even idea. I hope it doesn't deter people from hiking, but we're not alone in the world. There's nature out there, so I guess you do still have to be careful, especially with parents.
Can you tell me more about the bear spray, though? Why do you have so much bear spray,
Detour
Melissa?
into Melissa's life story. My husband and I lived separated for a while. I think the bear spray was really designed for home intruders, but he mailed me bear spray to my newsroom in Tacoma multiple times a year.
That was the long distance relationship move, was to mail bear spray?
I mean, he was trying to be protective. And anyway, we have a lot of bear spray from that time, but have stocked up additional bear spray and also foam, spray that is better than the spray that is liquid, apparently.
Like easier to aim?
Right, exactly. For intruders, for also when we go to, a little hike with our 2-year-old and 6-year-old, the spray is present. But the mom probably doesn't deserve that mama bear, to be honest.
Well, I'm glad you said bear spray because, again, I talked to the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife this morning. Stephanie Landry is the carnivore section manager with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and she brought up bear spray right away when I asked her for hiking safety tips.
So my husband's right. Like, we should be carrying the bear spray everywhere.
Let's listen to the expert here. Here we go.
Preferably don't hike alone, but if you do, hike with bear spray. Have either bear spray at a minimum, carry maybe an air horn that you can use as a response to any situation. Bear spray will work on pretty much any mammal that you feel is threatened by. And just be aware of your surroundings.
So this is a long conversation that we had, so I'm going to play some more here. But yes, bear spray, you were correct about the bear spray.
And the air horns, too. The last hiking trip we did, I was like, do we need all these holders for our pants for bear spray and air horns? But I guess we do.
Yeah. Here's more from Stephanie Landry with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. I really leaned in when she was talking about these hiking safety tips because even if it's rare, a bear attack makes me nervous about hiking.
Good to talk kind of loud, show that you're present. If you see a bear, you should stop. You should remain calm and assess the situation. If the bear doesn't seem to notice you and doesn't seem aware of you, move away quietly while it's not looking in your direction and continue to observe the animal as you leave, watching for any change in its behavior. But if a bear starts to walk towards you or any potential predator, identify yourself as a human by standing up, waving your hands above your head, and talking to the bear in a low voice. If you have bear spray, get it ready, remove the safety, aim it in that proper direction, but be aware of the wind. If you can't safely move away
the wind, yeah.
and it continues towards you, try clapping your hands, stomping your feet, yelling. If you're in a group, get close to your group mates and raise and wave your arms to try to appear larger and intimidating. The more it persists moving towards you, the more aggressive your response should be. If you have bear spray at this point, consider using it.
I never thought about the wind at all. I'm going to spray myself in the face with bear spray. I guarantee it.
You have to test the wind first. Okay, she's going to get to now what happens if you actually are attacked by the bear.
But mainly, do not run from the bear. Bears can run up to 35 miles per hour, and running can trigger, a predatory response that is just natural for them. Do not climb trees. Bears are pros at climbing trees. They're very adept, and they may follow you up that tree. It's unlikely that a black bear will attack you, but if it does, fight back aggressively using your hands, your feet, your legs, anything you can reach, a stick, anything you can. Aim for the eyes or spray bear spray into the bear's face. So primarily, if you're going into the back country, even if you're just going on a hike near a suburban area, it's smart to carry bear spray.
Does this give you a better sense of how to use your bear spray, at least,
I mean,
Melissa?
I'm glad I got the wind tip because I hadn't thought that through.
Yeah.
I will be honest.
It's mostly about getting big, talking low. If the bear hasn't seen you yet, just, get out of there slowly. Do not run. Talking loud ahead of time, announcing your presence. But if the bear does, continue towards you and attack, you got to use that bear spray, and then you have to really make sure you're loud and attacking back, basically, defending yourself, clapping, making a lot of noise, things like that.
Things only humans do.
Yes,
really.
exactly.
Okay.
Announce yourself as a human. That's what she said. And I asked if that was any different from how you deal with cougars, and she said not really.
You want to stay large and present, and you want to keep your eyes on the bear, or the cougar, not necessarily making eye contact because that can be considered a challenge. You want them to know that you see them. And do not run from either. But bear spray works on both.
Bear spray works on cougars too. So that's the more you know. Do you feel better?
I feel like I gave my husband a lot of heck, I guess, over our last little mini hike trip where we had all this preparation, and maybe I should not have done that.
Listen, he was right. This is redemption arc for your husband. Moving on to our third story in front page. More Washington kids are uninsured. You reported on this, Melissa, for Axios. This is a new report about child well-being in Washington state and the fact that it has dropped, and it's due in big part to this falling health insurance rates in our state. What stood out to you about what we're seeing when it comes to child well-being and the health insurance rates specifically?
Well, we had 3% of kids uninsured as of 2019, but by 2024, as this report shows, that was up to 4%. And what actually stood out to me the most is that I think that those numbers may drop further because some of that data from 2024, it's not including the end of some of the subsidies that help people afford health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. And it's not including some of the more recent cuts to Medicaid. So the insurance commissioner's office told me they're already seeing more people broadly dropping health insurance because of a difficulty affording it. And I think we'll see that reflected in the children's numbers of uninsured, maybe going forward with new data coming out later this year.
I know there was also some other headlines about the education rating from the Annie E. Casey Foundation, this 37th annual Kids Count data book where the health insurance numbers also come from. And in Washington state, we weren't looking too great. Washington dropped from 27th in the nation in education rankings to 31st overall. Last year, the state had fallen one spot. A little over a decade ago, it ranked 20th. 70% of eighth graders in Washington were not proficient in math, and 68% of fourth graders were not proficient in reading. That's from 2024. Now, the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction has said, the data collection is important here. We collect data a little differently in Washington. Some of this is also out, it's from 2024. They quibbled with this rating, basically. But when it comes to trends, it doesn't look amazing. I know the superintendent wanted us to look at, from the pandemic drop to now, and the fact that there's been some recovery as more of the benchmark. But, as we've seen around the country, education losses and this overall rating of child well-being takes that into account.
Right. And I think that it's true that we've seen a lot of recovery. Remember, we closed schools more and longer than a lot of people did in the pandemic. A lot of other places did during the pandemic. So I think that's what the superintendent is referring to. But again, I mean, as you recall, there was a lot of debate about whether we should have done that and whether the length of the closures was good and what effect it would have. We can't definitively say that this is because of some of the pandemic closures. And of course, there's other dangers involved with having kids go to school during a pandemic. It was a very complicated debate at the time. We all probably remember. But I do think we're seeing some fallout potentially from that and some of those policies, even if we are getting sort of leaps and bounds in recovery, maybe faster than some other states.
When it comes to the overall score for child well-being, the top states in the nation were New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Utah. The lowest ranked states were Louisiana, New Mexico, and Mississippi. Washington ranked 17th overall this year. And that is based on these metrics that Annie E. Casey Foundation uses: economic well-being, education, health and family, and community. Anything else you want to add on this, Melissa?
It was interesting to me because, we were 12th in the same ranking overall as recently as 2020. And we are one of 29 states that saw a decline in overall child well-being. So I guess most states were seeing a decline, and we're one of them, which I don't know if that should make us feel better or worse. But certainly there's been declines, and the Children's Alliance really identified that decline in health insurance coverage for kids as a major driver of that.
Yeah. And as you say, Medicaid cuts from the congressional spending bill, the Republican spending bill, not included yet.
Right. So there may be more to come on that front as well.
Yeah. There was a little glimmer of good education news that I just want to point to. This is from a completely different set of data. So, let's put a marker in this one. NPR looked at the National Assessment for Educational Progress data that was released last week. And that's those standardized tests that kids do with their pencil and paper at 9 and 13 years old. And it looked like the 9-year-olds tested showed solid gains in both reading and math. And NPR talked to some experts about this. They said one possible reason was that the students' age, they were 4, these 9-year-olds, when the pandemic started in 2020. So they didn't begin school until after most places had returned to full-time school. So we might be seeing a rebound in that age cohort. But 13-year-olds were still lagging behind. So, it's still difficult. And that whole generation is still coming up through K through 12 education, obviously. Moving on to our fourth story in Front Page. The sound of Shakira means it's time to talk about the World Cup. Are you digging this song? You're kind of grooving.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
I play it a little ironically, but I am starting to like it.
I like it. I don't know.
The more I play it, the more I like it, which says something about me, I think. Okay, so we can do a grab bag here about World Cup news in Seattle. This Bloomberg piece did catch my eye today. Every American World Cup host city is seeing travel increases except for Seattle. That's remarkable. I mean, this is from Bloomberg again. Online flight bookings for Seattle for the dates of the tournament are down from the same period last year, 21% lower, compared with increases in New York and Houston. Seattle also has among the least expensive resale tickets available. There was data from Airbnb from a couple weeks ago that showed Airbnb bookings were down at this time for the dates of the tournament compared to last year. They also revised the expectations for how much Seattle, would gain economically. The city did. I want to say that was last month. I will say, though, if it comes to resale tickets, Melissa, this Friday's game, the USA-Australia, is not among those that are suffering for resale value. Can you guess how much the lowest available average ticket is at Lumen Field this Friday for USA-Australia? Give me a ballpark guess.
I'm going to guess 700.
Oh, go higher, lady.
Okay. Is it 1,100?
Oh, keep going.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, because I did look at these a little while ago, and in like a lot of the matches, you could get tickets for the 500 range, but not this one.
Not USA Australia. So this is according to ticketdata.com, which tracks, basically how cheaply someone can get into the game. As of this morning, 1,967 was the lowest average ticket price for a resale value for that USA Australia game.
So you could go to Australia or you could go to the US-Australia game, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I was so hyped after the USA-Paraguay, so I understand, but that is a hefty, that's rent right there. That's a lot to get into a game. What's standing out to you about Seattle and, how we're hosting so far?
So I went on Monday, I went out and ventured to some of the fan zones, and, it was interesting because downtown seemed kind of dead in a way, like around Pacific Place, Seattle Center, not so busy on that Monday.
During Belgium-Egypt?
Yes. And then, but of course, once I got to Pioneer Square and came off the light rail station, this was a flood of people leaving a little bit early, I think, and it was just like flooded. And then if you tried to go to anywhere in the Pioneer Square area, like there was no place for me to sit down. It was good I was done with some of my like busy work that day because I would not have been able to open up a laptop. And it was packed and people were having a lot of fun. I mean, there was Egypt fans. I saw some dressed as Anubis, like the god of don't
their
quiz
gear
me.
was
But
so good.
Yeah, I mean,
they had like
themselves.
pharaoh hats and everything. They call themselves the pharaohs.
Oh, right. So like people were really into it. I saw some really cool like variations of jerseys from both teams from Belgium and in Egypt, and lots of fans just watching outdoors. And it was 90 degrees or so, and I was sweaty. But people were watching a big screen on Occidental Mall, and also I think at Westlake Park they were doing that, and people were into it.
Did you happen to see the FIFA barge, the $50 access FIFA barge, or Pier 62, the free
I haven't gone down
party?
there yet. I'm going to go down there today and check out some of that.
So this stood out to me about Nicole Passia. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name at the Seattle Times. She got into the $50 FIFA barge party, and it seems like it's nice enough, but one fact really jumped off the page. That is that the only people with access to a bathroom at the $50 FIFA barge party are the people with the VIP tickets, which are hundreds of dollars. If you have the regular $50 tickets, there's no bathroom.
You got to exit out, right?
Yes.
And use it.
You have to go to Pier 62.
Okay. Another fact stood out to me. They serve Seattle dogs on that barge with no cream cheese.
What? That's
not a Seattle dog. What are we doing?
No.
Did they think it's too weird and people won't understand? You just don't do it. Just serve a hot dog. Then serve a Chicago dog if you're not going to put cream cheese on it.
That is shocking.
That was the thing that stood out to me from that article. I was like, what?
Well, we're giving visitors the wrong impression. No wonder visitations are not what we expected.
No cream cheese.
There's no cream cheese. Okay, really quickly before we go, the teeny tiny protest zones.
Oh, I didn't even see them.
So Sophia Schwartzwalder with the Times reported on this. They are like little pens. They look like timeout pens for toddlers. They are, these orange cones and netting that are placed around in different parts of the stadium. They're called designated protest zones. SPD has set them up. In an email to the Times, SPD said the protest zone was to provide access for everyone so they may exercise their right to speech regardless of the event. You think protesters are going to stay in this little... It's Seattle.
And it's a pedestrian-only zone around Pioneer Square. So, why would they... I mean, there's not even any danger of cars hitting them. So why would they stay in that little
I can't even
cage?
Imagine. And so apparently it just became like a photo opportunity for the Belgium fans to be like, we're in Seattle at the protest zone. We are expecting to see some protests like for Iran, Egypt coming up next week. The Iranian diaspora will probably be out. I do not think they're going to stay in the designated protest.
I don't know
pens.
that they should. It's a little weird. I mean, I wonder, what is SPD going to do? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Melissa Santos, always so fun to chat through the headlines with you on Front Page. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on to talk about condiments.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. Don't forget you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org or on your favorite podcast app.